Let me say something up front that most trading videos won't say out loud. If trading was about strategies, most traders would already be profitable. Because information is everywhere. You can learn market structure, supply and demand, smart money concepts, ICT, indicators, algorithms, macro narratives, all for free. And yet the overwhelming majority of traders still lose money. Not once, not temporarily, but consistently. So today, I'm not going to give you another setup. I'm not going to give you another indicator. And I'm definitely not going to promise fast money. Instead, I'm going to walk you through the psychological operating system required to turn a small account, something like $2,300 or even less, into seven figures over time. Not hypothetically, not motivationally, but mechanically. Because trading results don't come from what you know. They come from how you behave under pressure. And behavior is driven by beliefs. If you understand this video deeply, you'll understand why most traders fail even when good strategies are present, why discipline collapses under stress, why consistently feels impossible, why money only comes after identity changes. This is not a hype video. This is a reality calibration. Let's start here. The real reason most traders fail. Let's start here. Most traders think they're failing because their strategy isn't good enough, their entries are late, their risk management needs tweaking. But that's rarely the core issue. The real problem is this. Trading is the only profession where you can do everything right and still lose money. That single fact breaks most people psychologically because humans are wired to believe if I do everything right, I should get a positive result. That belief works in school, it works in jobs, it works in most areas of life, but it does not work in the markets. And when people bring that belief into trading, they experience anger after losses, overconfidence after wins, revenge trading, fear-based hesitation. This creates an emotional roller coaster, and emotional volatility leads to inconsistent behavior. Inconsistent behavior leads to negative expectancy. Inconsistent behavior leads to negative expectancy. Not because the strategy is bad, but because execution collapses. Here's something most people aren't prepared for. Trading doesn't just test your skills, it exposes your psychology. It magnifies impatience, ego, fear of loss, fear of missing out, need for control. In normal life, you can hide these traits. In markets, you can't. If you struggle with patience, you'll overtrade. If you struggle with self-worth, you'll tie identity to P&L. If you struggle with uncertainty, you'll micromanage trades. Trading becomes a mirror, and most people don't like what they see. So instead of changing themselves, they change the strategy over and over again. Now let's talk about small accounts, because this is where most traders sabotage themselves early. When someone starts with $2,300, they usually think one of three things. This isn't even enough to matter. I need to flip this fast. I'll trade properly once I have more capital. That belief is deadly because a small account is not a money problem. It's a behavioral test. A $2,300 account reveals how well you follow rules, how you handle boredom, how you react to losses, whether you respect risk. If you gamble with small money, you'll gamble with big money. If you break rules now, you'll break them then later. Professional traders don't see small accounts as limiting. They see them as qualification stages. Here's the first belief shift that separates amateurs from professionals. My job is not to make money. My job is to execute my plan. This sounds simple, but it's incredibly difficult to live by. Most traders wake up thinking, how much money can I make today? Professionals wake up thinking, can I execute flawlessly regardless of outcome? When your focus is money, you rush trades, you force setups, you oversize, you emotionally react to outcomes. When your focus is execution, losses feel natural, wins don't inflate ego, confidence becomes grounded. Money becomes a side effect, not the objective. Here's an uncomfortable truth. The market punishes people who need money. Not morally, mechanically. If you need a trade to work, you won't respect your stops. You'll hesitate to exit losers. You'll take profits too early. Needing money creates urgency. Neediness distorts decision making. Needing money creates urgency. Urgency destroys patience. Patience is where edge lives. Professional traders operate from emotional neutrality, financial patience, outcome detachment. They don't trade to feel relief. They trade to execute a system. Here's another belief that quietly destroys traders. If I'm not trading, I'm not progressing. This creates action addiction. Most traders feel productive only when they're in a trade, so they trade suboptimal setups, enter out of boredom, overexpose themselves. Activity does not equal progress. Professional traders measure progress differently. They measure rule adherence, emotional stability, execution quality. Some of the best trading days involve no trades at all because restraint is a skill. Here's the belief professionals internalize early. I am a risk manager first, a trader second. Amateurs focus on entries, targets, profits. Professionals obsess over downside, drawdowns, and survival. They assume I don't know what the market will do, and they build systems that don't require certainty. This belief alone keeps them in the game long enough for compounding to work. Losses hurt, but wins are more dangerous. After a winning streak, confidence spikes, position size creeps up, rules loosen. Overconfidence can be a hidden risk. The belief behind this is, I've figured it out. Professionals never believe that. They believe anything can happen on the next trade. That belief creates humility. Humility protects capital. Turning $2,300 into $1 million is not about brilliance. It's about staying alive long enough. The market doesn't reward intelligence, confidence, or aggression. It rewards consistency, discipline, and emotional control. Survival precedes compounding. If you don't blow up and you don't quit, time will work in your favor. Most people fail before compounding even starts. If this video feels different, that's because it isn't motivation. This is psychological agriculture. Identity comes before income. If you can change your beliefs, your behavior will follow, and your results eventually catch up. If you're liking this, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that like button. Let's go deeper. Let's figure this out together. There's a brutal pattern that shows up over and over again in trading. A trader starts learning. They struggle. They lose money. They adjust. Then eventually something changes. Losses slow down. Execution improves. The account stabilizes. And right there, right before consistency, they quit, or they blow up, or they abandon the system. This isn't bad luck. This is identity conflict. Here's what no one explains. Most people don't fail because trading is too hard. They fail because success threatens who they believe they are. If someone has spent years seeing themselves as the struggling trader, the unlucky one, the person who almost makes it, then consistency creates tension. Because success demands new habits, new responsibility, new emotional regulation. Success requires identity change. Your mind prefers familiar pain over unfamiliar responsibility. So subconsciously, traders sabotage themselves. They break rules after progress, oversize after discipline, force trades after patience, not because they're stupid, because identity resists change. Let's talk about drawdowns, not financial ones, psychological ones. A drawdown isn't just about losing money. It feels like proof you're not doing good enough, confirmation of self-doubt, regression after effort. Drawdowns attack your identity. Most traders don't experience drawdowns as data. They experience them as judgment, so they react emotionally. They change systems mid-drawdown, increase risk to get it back, lose trust in their edge. Professional traders don't interpret drawdowns emotionally. They interpret them statistically. That difference alone determines survival. Here's a critical distinction. There are two types of pain in trading. Financial pain, losing money. Emotional pain, discomfort, boredom, uncertainty. Most traders try to avoid emotional pain, so they create financial pain instead. Avoid emotion that creates losses. They overtrade to avoid boredom. They micromanage to avoid uncertainty. They revenge trade to avoid feeling wrong. Professional traders do the opposite. They accept emotional pain. They avoid financial pain. They sit through the boredom, the flat periods, the missed trades. Because emotional tolerance is a skill. Here's a reality most people hate. Profitable trading is actually boring. Painfully boring. Boredom equals your competitive edge and your competitive advantage. Most traders secretly want excitement. They want action, stimulation, and dopamine. But markets don't reward excitement. They reward restraint. Professional traders can sit for hours, for days, for weeks, waiting for alignment. That alone removes 90% of the competitors. Overtrading is not a strategy flaw. It's an emotional regulation issue. Traders overtrade because they feel behind, they feel impatient, and they feel unproductive. Overtrading equals emotional leakage. The belief underneath is, if I'm not trading, I'm not progressing. Professionals don't believe that. They believe capital preservation is progress. Some of the best traders place very few trades, not because they're inactive, but because they're selective. Here's something counterintuitive. Inconsistency feels familiar. Consistency feels strange. Why? Because consistency removes emotional highs, emotional lows, drama. Consistency feels empty at first. For many traders, chaos has become normal, so calm feels wrong. They subconsciously create volatility to feel engaged. Professional traders learn to be comfortable with neutrality. They don't need stimulation from the market. Every trader has a psychological ceiling, not based on skill, but based on self-image. If someone doesn't believe they deserve consistent profits, stability, long-term success, they'll sabotage when approaching it. You don't out-earn your self-image. This is why traders blow accounts after breakthroughs. Their account grows faster than their identity, and the mind pulls them back to a familiar level. Scaling isn't just about position size, it's about emotional capacity. Larger size means bigger swings, more responsibility, less margin for error. Size exposes emotional limits. Many traders want to scale, very few are emotionally ready. Professional traders earn the right to scale slowly. They increase size only after long periods of stability, emotional neutrality, rule consistency, not after excitement. Here's a belief that protects professionals. I don't deserve profits I can't emotionally handle. This belief removes rushing, ego, and impatience. It forces alignment between account size, emotional maturity, and discipline. Without this belief, success becomes dangerous. If this section felt uncomfortable, it's a good sign, because trading doesn't fail people. People fail themselves. Next, we're going to break down long-term compounding psychology, why time beats talent, how professionals think in decades, not days, and how boredom, routine, and structure create wealth. Time and discipline will equal inevitable results. Here's the truth that sounds boring, but determines everything. Trading is not won by the most talented trader. It's won by the trader who stays in the game the longest. Longevity is greater than brilliance. Most people believe success comes from intelligence, speed, insight, being early. In trading, those things help, but they don't decide the winner. Time does, because time allows edge to play out, compounding to activate, mistakes to be absorbed. Most traders never give themselves enough time. They blow up, they quit, or they restart, and every reset destroys compounding. Compounding sounds amazing on paper, but in real life it feels slow, quiet, and anticlimactic. Compounding feels invisible at first. Early on, gains look insignificant. Progress feels fake. Motivation drops. Most people expect linear effort equals linear reward. Markets don't work that way. Compounding works like pressure building underground. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. Then everything changes. Most traders quit during the nothing happens phase. It's a hard question. Can you commit to something for 5 years without needing validation? Most people can't, because modern culture trains us to expect fast feedback, constant stimulation, and immediate results. Long-time horizons is your edge. Professional traders think in years and decades. Retail traders think in days and weeks. This difference alone explains why outcomes diverge so drastically. Here's what profitable trading actually looks like. No screenshots, no flexing, no drama. Just boring routines, repeated execution, controlled risk. Quiet progress wins. There are no viral moments in consistency, which is why most people never stick with it. They mistake silence for failure. Professionals understand silence is part of the process. A lot of traders experience early success, then they lose it. Why? Because early wins create false confidence. Early success is dangerous. Without emotional maturity, wins inflate the ego distorts risk destroys accounts. Professionals don't trust early success. They wait for long samples, multiple market conditions, drawdowns handled correctly. Consistency is proven, not assumed. Here's the shift that separates seven-figure traders. They stop asking, how fast can I grow this? And start asking, how long can I protect this? Protect first, grow second. Protection creates stability, confidence, and longevity. Growth follows naturally. Impatience destroys compounding. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes, but routine does not. Routine is greater than motivation. Professional traders rely on checklists, rules, schedules, not feelings. They don't trade when inspired. They trade when conditions align. This removes emotional decision-making. Losses never disappear. They just change their meaning. Amateurs see losses as failure, proof that they're bad, emotional threats, but professionals see losses as business expenses, statistical noise, cost of participation. Losses are your rent. They don't argue with losses. They budget for them. Here's the paradox. The behavior that creates wealth feels emotionally flat. Wealth is built quietly. No adrenaline, no drama, no urgency, just repetition. Most people crave stimulation. Professionals crave predictability. Eventually, something shifts. As you stop seeing yourself as a trader trying to win and start seeing yourself as a capital allocator, a risk operator, a long-term executor, identity drives scale. At this point, size increases naturally. Emotions stabilize. Confidence becomes calm. Not excited, calm. Here's the real truth. The number doesn't matter. What matters is becoming someone who could manage that, wouldn't destroy it, wouldn't chase more recklessly. Capacity before capital. Money follows maturity. Always. If you've made it this far, you're starting to think like a professional, and you become what you repeatedly practice. Here's something most people don't expect. Many traders don't fail at the beginning. They fail after they finally start making money, after their first big payout, after their first constant month, after their first taste of validation. Success reduces new risk. Why? Because success introduces new psychological pressure. When there's nothing to lose, people are reckless. When there's something to protect, fear shows up, and fear changes behavior. Here's the problem. A trader's account size can grow faster than their identity can adapt. So now they're trading larger size with the same emotional operating system. Account is greater than identity equals instability. So this creates anxiety around losses, attachment to profits, overprotection, and overaggression. The mind hasn't caught up to the new reality, and when identity lags behind capital, self-sabotage fills the gap. Most traders think scaling is about math, position size, risk percentages, leverage. Those matter, but they're secondary. Scaling is primarily emotional. Emotional capacity sets size limits. Ask yourself, can you lose a normal trade without emotional disturbance? Can you win without feeling euphoric? Can you size up without feeling pressure to perform? If the answer is no, you're not ready to scale. Professional traders scale slowly and reluctantly, not because they lack the confidence, but because they respect psychology. Here's a belief that protects professionals. Size amplifies who I already am. If you're disciplined at small size, larger size rewards you. If you're emotional at small size, larger size exposes you. This belief forces honesty. It removes ego from scaling decisions. Here's something rarely discussed. Your lifestyle either supports your trading or it sabotages it. Lifestyle is risk management. Poor sleep, constant stress, financial pressure, external loss. These things leak into execution. Professional traders build boring, stable lives. Not because they lack ambition, but because stability protects performance. The most successful traders are often low-key, predictable, uninteresting. Stability equals performance. They don't seek stimulation from the market because their lives are already full. They don't need trading to feel important. This emotional independence is a massive edge. At the highest level, traders stop thinking in months, years. They think in permanence. How do I never lose this? How do I protect my mindset? How do I avoid burnout? How do I keep this boring? Because boredom is sustainable. Chaos is not. Here's the irony. Most people want freedom, but they can't tolerate the structure required to keep it. Freedom requires discipline. Permanent success demands repetition, restraint, emotional neutrality. Many traders subconsciously sabotage performance to reintroduce excitement. Professionals choose boredom. Everything we've talked to comes down to this. I trade to stay in the game, not to feel something. This belief removes ego, impatience, and urgency. It creates longevity, stability, and compounding. Money becomes inevitable when behavior stays consistent. $1 million isn't the finish line. It's just proof that your beliefs aligned with reality. Your behavior stayed consistent. You didn't self-destruct. The person is the asset. The real asset is who you became. That's what creates repeatable success. If you've watched this entire video, you understand something most traders never will. Trading is not about being right, being fast, or being aggressive. It's about emotional control, identity alignment, and long-term discipline. Beliefs first, profits second. Change your beliefs and your behavior follows. Change your behavior and the money will eventually show up. Subscribe and we'll go a whole lot farther, and I will show you exactly step by step how to do this.